Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Judy. I'm going to talk to you today about principle-centered power out of Stephen Covey's Principle-Centered Leadership book. Since we're now in this book starting this week on week 6, and some of you might have noticed, I guess week 6 we are at midterm, so halfway through 12 weeks. So there are 3 types of power Stephen Covey talks about. And he asked the question of why do leaders follow us in leadership positions. The 3 ones he talks about are coercive power, utility power, and principle-centered power. Coercive power is really following out of fear. You're trying to get someone to do something to you, and if they don't, to you, trying to get someone to do something for you as a leader, and if they don't complete the task, you're going to have some repercussions, either in their career, for the organization, something of that nature. Utility power is the useful exchange of goods and services. So that type of power is very similar. If you do this, you could get a promotion. If you do this, you'll get a bonus. If you do this, it will look good upon you and your team. So it's more for self-gratification for the individual in the utility power concept. However, principle-centered power is built upon trust, respect, and honor. So your followers are doing things for you as the leader built upon those 3 main aspects. Pulled a quote, "You only have power over people as long as you don't take everything away from them. But when you've robbed a man of everything, he's no longer in your power. He's free again." A lot of truth in that quote. So let's take a little bit deeper step into this and look at the impacts of these powers. So coercive power, leading with a big stick approach. When I think of that type of power, I think of dictatorships, Hitler in Germany, Mussolini, communist countries, things of that nature, where if their people or the military didn't do things, they were put in prison, they were scolded, maybe they had wages taken away from them. Those types of things to really show the forcefulness of the leader amongst the people that they were governing. If you look at Roman culture and the emperors of the day, that was really their leadership approach was mostly coercive in nature. Utility power leads to individualism rather than teamwork. Again, it goes back to normally what you're trying to do is get the person to follow you based on some award that individual is going to get, not necessarily an entire team. It's hard to promote an entire team. You're normally going to promote one person in the team. So utility power, it works in some aspects, but it's really not the principle we should live by or govern by as a leader. Principle-centered power overlaps the values of leaders and followers and encourages ethical behavior. So really what you have is a common thread between the leaders and the followers, where the leaders trust the follower trusts the leader respects the follower respects the leader, and they do it based on brotherhood or sisterhood more than based on a big stick approach, repercussions for not doing something, or they do it solely based on individual gain. Leaders are leaders only as long as they respect and have the respect and loyalty of their followers. As a leader, we will always have a choice to make when a problem arises. So you're basically going to have 3 choices to make. You're going to either make a choice to lead based off coerciveness, utility, or principle-centered power. So fear, fair, and honor is really the 3 things that Stephen Covey talks about. If you choose principle-centered power, you're going to have to make a commitment, and it's going to have to be sincere. And it's very difficult for you to practice principle-centered power and not have a long-term commitment if you're going back and forth based on problems, or maybe it's even based on personalities, and maybe sometimes using fear, sometimes using fair, sometimes using honor. That's not going to show your commitment towards principle-centered power. And it's also not going to show sincerity. which can't be fake for too long. Followers are going to eventually figure us out and understand what we're trying to do. And you're really in that aspect, if you're using different types of powers as a leader, you can almost say you're kind of manipulating the situation or your team based on what you think is the best way to get productivity out of them. The book gives us 10 power tools to help us: persuasion, patience, gentleness, teachableness. We talked about mentoring and teachableness for the leaders. I think it's a really big one. We do not always have all the answers. Acceptance, trying not to judge. Kindness, that's pretty self-explanatory. Openness, giving followers accurate information. I find today with the current culture, and with especially with young people, they want to know it how we see it. They don't want us to sugarcoat it. They don't want to be really left out of the decision-making process or how the decision is going to affect them. They really want to know what the information is, black and white, without any sugarcoating about it. So I think accurate information for a leader is really important. Compassionate and confrontation. So those are course corrections. As you go along the ways, we're going to have followers and people that we're leading who are going to make mistakes just like we make mistakes. But the important aspect of that is compassionate confrontation, not negative confrontation, yelling, those types of things. We want to be able to give course corrections in a principle way that is positive and shows respect and integrity to the person you're trying to give the correction to. Consistency, being it's not manipulative, so it would be using the principle-centered approach always, and trying to limit yourself between using the big stick approach or some approach where there's an incentive for them to follow you. And then integrity, you're continuously reviewing your intent. What are your motives and notions to be able to lead in the decisions you're making? And I gave a verse here from Proverbs 11:7. When pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with the humble is wisdom. So I think to use this idea of principle-centered leadership, we really have to be walking in a humbled way and seeking wisdom. And finally, honorable character equals principle-powered leadership. And I gave another verse from Romans 5:3-4. No matter what problems may arise as we are leaders in any organization, whether you're a superintendent of a school, pastor, leader of a technology company, a business leader, a lawyer, whatever it might be, problems are going to arise, but we need to understand that as those problems arise, it will produce endurance for us, which will produce character, and character produces hope. Anyhow, that's a summary of principle-powered leadership. Hope you enjoyed it and have a great day. Thank you for your time.